It's 2022 and Mezco has decided to load up on booster shots, N95 masks, pile up into the Queen with a bunch of toys, and head to the premier super spreader event, San Diego Comic-Con. Let's go.
Discovered by the Germans in 1904, they named it San Diego, which of course in German means a whale's foot.
Let's agree to disagree. But within that space, Mezco created a bubble booth and named it Mezcon 20-22 to showcase their past, current, and future offerings in an effort to stake claim on a piece of your expendable income pie. Is anyone else scared about the amount of shit that these companies are pumping out right now? Oh my goodness. Be afraid. Be very afraid. I'm just playing. Hello everyone, my name is Paige and welcome to the 2022 Mezco Con wrap-up. Now, I was very fortunate enough to be able to go to this year's con virtually. And just like everyone else, I've seen the photos, I played the games, I had the pass or trash conversations with every reveal of every announcement. So instead of showing you the photos, who am I kidding? I'm still going to show you the photos, but with a little bit of a twist. So as I sat on my couch eating ice cream, waiting for the reveals and reading the comments, I had an epiphany. Well, actually, I've been thinking about this for quite a while now, but the convention just kind of solidified it for me. So here are my 3 takeaways from Mezco Con 2022. Ready?
Bro, that's it? Just 3?
Yeah, but it's a beefy 3, so there'll be timestamps in the description box below. So let's kick things off with our first take, and that would be Mezco is listening to the feedback from their customers. Now, this is probably the most interesting of the 3, but before anyone gets triggered, hear me out. A majority of the collectors have been very vocal about the estimated release dates and how they're not being met or they're constantly being pushed back. Whether collectors know, don't know, care, or accept that there are variables that do contribute to these delays. There's an ongoing shipping crisis, energy restrictions placed on factories by the government, the rising costs of materials and plastics and fabrics, etc., 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 and of course, the license approval process that can add significant time on top of all the things that I listed above. So how about this? Let's take all of that off the table. Let's pretend it doesn't even exist and let's just focus on the release dates getting pushed back. I'm not sure if collectors have noticed, but the past few pre-orders that have gone up have automatically defaulted to this 12-month time frame. And a few others have a new estimated release date of about 19 months. Even the new Pink Skulls Gig from Hell and the Mezco Con exclusive Creek 13 Eradicator Murder Hornet didn't even have a 1-month window release date window that's typically given to those buy it now pre-orders. In comparison to the other exclusives available for purchase this year, which was the Frank Miller Sin City Hard Goodbye Collector's Capsule Set, wow, that's a mouthful, and the Godzilla vs. I'm going to butcher this, Ghidorah Limited Edition Radioactive Battle Box. Both of those have estimated release date windows of August to September 2022. Quick side note, are we calling these Mezco Con exclusives or are we calling them the SDCC exclusives? So this is why I feel, in a tongue-in-cheek kind of way, that Mezco is listening to the customer base. Instead of some guy meticulously keeping track of posting every time that a release date is changed, possibly fanning the flames of frustration. Wait a minute. Am I the cause of all this? Nah. Mezco is just taking that talking point completely out of the equation because they've gone to this 12-month default setting. And it works. Typically, the average wait time for an offering to release is about 13 to 16 months. And hey, listen. Don't bring up he who shall not be named. Don't bring up Mr. Freeze, Conan, Death Dealer, Ghost Rider, or Leatherface. Those are about 6 to 10 of the figures that account for 5 to 10% of the 190 plus figures that have already been released. You have got nothing. Now, I mentioned this previously on episode 68 of The Hangout, and one of the talking points was be careful what you wish for. Like I said, there's a lot of frustration on both sides, obviously, but I think this talking point has been brought up so many times, almost daily, that Mezco has decided to take the it's better to under-promise and over-deliver approach, meaning they'll set the estimated release dates within a typical average range, and if it comes early, hey, great. If it doesn't, it gets pushed back, maybe a maximum of 1 time? Another example of them listening to the community is the way they approached this year's convention. Now, this year they showcased a lot of figures, and they were mainly ones that were previously revealed, but those needed to kind of be seen to build customer confidence. Collectors talk about how they're always collecting these pre-order NFTs, and this is a way, since they moved away from virtual cons, to kind of split that virtual and physical showing to actually seeing figures that were announced previously, as well as tease some of the new reveals in the show, like the Golden Age Black and Gray Batman, the 8-inch Godzilla, the Static 6 Doc Nocturnal, Elvira, and Red Pyramid statues, and the 5-point Sin City and Godzilla, just to name a few. Most of the community has been eagerly waiting to see some of the offerings, just like Solomon Kane, Alien, Predator, Death Dealer, Roadblock, Death Brokers, Captain Nemo and the Wave Rider, along with the Nautilus crew, Justice League, Constantine, Superman, the Crow, Leatherface, and of course, he who shall not be named. Some of those figures also visually gave us a reason for those delays, like the subtle design changes on the Mr. Freeze, Morbius, and the Justice League. Alien Predator obviously had a different look, and the surprise showcase of Death Dealer with double-jointed elbows, which goes to show how important physical previews are for these projects. Showing them in a digital space is cool, but seeing them in person or recorded real time, I think kind of helps ease some of the anxiety collectors may have. So now that we got the saucy part of it out of the way, let's move on to number 2, and that would be, I think Mezco is starting to scale back. A little. Now, personally, I feel like this is a good thing for collectors. At the end of every year, I usually do this running total, and it shows how many figures were released as well as the estimated cost for the whole catalog for that year. Now, financially, times are hard for collectors, and if you do have disposable income, there are so many companies fighting for that slice of your financial pie. So scaling back, I think, is a good thing. Focusing more on those different properties like the Lord of Tears Owlman allows them to be a little bit more unique, but it also lets them focus more on the materials and designs to create a better overall product. Mezco does a fantastic job with soft good figures, and there's a bunch of offerings that you look at and you can see that there was a lot of time and attention put into them. Scaling back also takes the pressure off them to produce these high volume, high quality offerings while trying to balance all the other worldwide factors and trying to make it within this tiny window. It also allows them to kind of push the other lines that they have, such as 5 Points, MDS, Living Dead Dolls, and Static 6. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but it just creates a little bit more balance. And of course, the big elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about, this is also going to give collectors the ability to breathe a little bit more in between these releases, and maybe have a little bit more hands-on time with some of the offerings that we had previously. Things happen so fast, and we fall in and out of love so quickly with these figures. A good example of this is the Creek 13 Eradicator Hornet. Now, there was a tease video that Mezco put up. I'll make sure I put the link in the description below. And the next day, they put the official pre-order for that, and it pretty much lasted a couple days, closing on Saturday, July the 23rd at 3:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, I did wait to post the time to see if anybody else wanted to do it or if anybody else had the information, but it's been a few days, so anyone that's interested, nerd shit, here you go. Now, the community feedback on the Eradicator has been a little bit of a mixed review. Most of the feedback given has been that this is just a redeco of the Murder Hornet, which technically is true. And while it is considered a redeco, personally, I like the approach that they took with these exclusives. And I also think that there was a couple reasons why they did this. From my understanding, they also had these items available for purchase at the booth. So you were able to get the Eradicator, the 5-point Sin City, and the extra large Godzilla set, as well as some other current roster offerings. But I think that this figure was more focused towards completionists of the line or fans of the particular Creek 13 subline. Basically, collectors weren't obligated to buy this out of FOMO, and that allows you to spend your money another day. And trust me, I believe you're going to be spending your money another day. Now, I think it's a good character choice and a smart decision by them, and there's another reason behind that as well. Remember last year we got the High Rollers box, and that was put up for pre-order at about $155. The Death Brokers was a surprise drop, wasn't a secret drop because they gave us a hint. Thank you very much, Mez. That was $265, followed a few days later by the Gotham by Gaslight Joker, and that was $100. Anyone remember that $520 week?
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Or at least the $295 you would have had if you needed to get all three. It's an expensive week. Another thing that they did was they stripped the con boxes away, which, by the way, I love, and I think it's just another example of them listening to the fans by taking away that excess swag. Because some collectors say they felt forced to buy these bundles. What you do is you substitute it for a single shoebox offering, less space. You make it available at the convention and online, so it's less hassle and headache for collectors and also the people managing the booths. Because honestly, long term, I really think that people are going to need the extra cash soon. For Christmas in July. That's right, collectors. Remember when I told you to be careful what you wish for? Well, that brings me to my third and final take for the Mezco Con, and that is, I believe that we're going to see quite a few releases over the next 2 months. Now, the reason why I say that is because of the way the showroom floor was set up. They did a very good job of showcasing many of the pre-orders that are withstanding, but also showing figures that are going to be projected to come out within the next few months. Now, some of those figures, obviously, they went through some retooling and renovations in terms of design and materials used. But if you look at them, for the most part, they appear to be finished samples. Now, if you're ever at a convention, usually one of the small tells is if a figure is standing in a neutral position, like standing straight up. Vanilla. Those are typically the prototype sample. These are visual samples to give people an idea of what to expect. Now, as always, there can be changes, but this does get the product off the computer screen and allows people more of an in-hand look. If your hand was able to go through the glass, which some of you guys and girls at the con tried to do. And all you did was knock down the figure and make more work for the person setting up the display. Oh, gosh. But for the most part, the figures that are projected to drop within the next few months, Mr. Freeze, Constantine, The Crow, Death Dealer, love those double jointed elbows, Death Brokers, Justice League, Leatherface, and maybe a few others look like they are finished. Now, none of this information is confirmed. This is just my virtual eye test. I wish I could have been in there in person. I probably would have been able to assess the situation a little bit better. But with these figures being released within the next few months, potentially, depending on which ones you ordered, I can see this adding up to a very expensive few months for some collectors. Now, if you take that total, it comes out to about $1,352. Now, that is not including some of the figures that they did not show that are also projected to come out as well, such as Gotham by Gaslight Batman, Destro, Fantastic Four, and Halloween Michael Myers. Now, that little subtotal comes out to about $720. And if you put both of those totals together,
the actual retail price is
$2,072.
That's not good.
Did somebody say flash sale in the group? Now, are you going to buy one of everything? Most likely not. Some people are probably going to buy multiples. Some people will probably cherry pick these offerings. And some of these figures may even get pushed back. But regardless, if you're paying for it now or paying for it later, the point is to give you a rough estimate of the potential cost of what's coming. I say it all the time, and I repeat it when it's really important. Be prepared. Be prepared.
And that's not just...
That's okay. I think they get it. Hopefully they get it. I wanted to take a little bit of a spotlight and shine it on our boy D and tell him thank you very much for the video footage that he provided for this video. Like I said, I wasn't able to be there. And I also wanted to say thank you very much for the amazing, pun intended, job that you did at curating the display at Mezco Con. He worked really hard. Obviously, the crew there worked really hard. I don't think a lot of people get enough credit for setting this up, maintaining it during the whole convention, and then tearing it down. Nobody likes to clean up shit, and that was a pretty big booth, and they did that. So I appreciate everything that you guys did. I appreciate everything the Mezco team did, and great work, man. Great work. So those are my 3 takeaways from Mezco Con 2022. Again, I enjoy what Mezco did as well as the other toy companies. There were a couple of reveals that I'm really looking forward to, such as the Lord of Tears Owlman, which previously was a Living Dead doll and a low-budget Kickstarter-based horror movie. It's kind of like The Haunting or Dead Silence, if you've ever seen one of those. I don't want to spoil the movie for you, but if you would like to brush up on it, it is available for free on YouTube. I'll make sure I'll leave a link in the description below. Doc Ock actually squeezed out a late cameo to kind of round out the Spider-Man, rogue gallery, or I guess maybe the Ultimate Six. You never know. Recovery Suit Superman. Now this looks very interesting. It's a nice addition to the Superman lineup. I'm not familiar with this version of the character. It's good though, because when I don't know much, I always do deep dives into character story arcs. That way I have a better idea of who that person is. Fictitiously, of course. The more you know, right? Silver Centurion, also a nice addition to the Mezco Hall of Armors. I think with this announcement, most collectors and fans are hoping to see a version of War Machine in the future. You never know. Maybe even Luke Cage. I do have to say King Conan definitely was best in show, as well as has the hottest mixtape cover art made by yours truly. Yep. If this is a trilogy figure, it was great to see them end it on this way. And I'd be interested in seeing if this is maybe an MDX offering that would possibly add a throne. It's kind of like icing on the cake. I'd love to see that. So with all the reveals, Mezco also gave collectors a chance to win some great prize bundles that included some highly sought after figures like Toy Fair Blade, Dr. Fate, Two-Face, Pink Skulls, Gig from Hell set that everybody's getting now. And they also gave out gift certificates. I think the prizes and gift certificates, I think they came out to about, so carry the 4, divide by 1 using distributive property conjunction over disjunction. And what they gave out in prize value comes out to about $3,310.02. Oops, my bad. 2 cents, erase. Nobody wants your 2 cents. That's including tax and shipping on top of all that. So they're pretty much giving all that out to the community and to their customer base. I think that's pretty good. Little side note, I didn't include the price of a toy fair because that's priceless. Again, I enjoyed this show. Anytime that I can unplug from reality and just enjoy things that are on the horizon, I'm all for it. One of the things I didn't mention is that I thought was really cool about all of this is it gets people talking. I was with my friends while all this was going on. We were trying to guess what was going to be revealed next, seeing if characters that we had on our wish list would even make an appearance or possibly get teased. It just created a lot of good conversation. We were sharing information. I mean, because I tell you that Black Skull's Brain Burster was no joke. And honestly, that's what it's really all about for me. Are you going to see a bunch of 112 figures announced every single release, or even the ones that you wanted? Maybe, maybe not. But the point is that they are a company that does really well over multiple lines. And in order to keep the whole ship afloat, they have to be able to show some of these other properties. But they do realize that 112 is their bread and butter right now. And I think they did a great job catering to the community. And I appreciate that. And I also appreciate you taking time to check out this video. I know YouTube says that it's been 2 months since my last upload. And while I haven't been posting content here, I have been doing IG Lives pretty much every week on Instagram. That's at the toy page. If you're not familiar with it, I do a show on there. It's called The Hangout, and it's where I have different people from the community come on to share their experience in whatever genre they're in. And the purpose of this is to kind of pull the community together and give people a little bit better of understanding from those different people in their respective fields. One of the episodes that I had was episode 66, where I spoke with a guy named Mario. He coordinates the shipment container pickups and drop-offs as well as the exchange. And he goes through this whole process of pitfalls and what he has to deal with at his job. So as collectors, we kind of have a better understanding of the variables that impact us and why some of these figures miss their projected target dates. In episode 67, I got to hang out with the talented, the amazing, and he spoke about his creative process, his fans, support system, and you just kind of get a better understanding of who he is and his perspective on community and collecting. And episode 72 was a special one. I got to talk to Sarah Frazetta, and she is the granddaughter of the legendary sci-fi artist Frank Frazetta, and also the founder and owner of Frazetta Girls. She talked about some of her projects that she's working on with her company, as well as the direction she plans on taking Frank Frazetta's legacy into the Frazetta-verse. There are also a couple of episodes where I'm just talking to some very close friends, and we're just discussing some of the things in the community, collecting, all the other topics related to the hobby that we all share and love. These episodes are currently on Instagram Live, but you don't have to worry because I'm going to be transferring those to YouTube. I just wanted to give you guys kind of a heads up. If you wanted to watch those episodes early, they're there available for you. If you don't worry, no sweat. They'll be here soon, but they will probably have a little bit of a different feel. Apply self-pressure to follow through.